Hello, it's Donna here, and it's been a while, hasn't it? I've been very busy while I haven't been on YouTube, moving house, moving countries, moving continents, but I'm delighted to be all settled in my apartment in Tokyo and ready to get back to creating. I have a fun botanical slimline card for you today. This card uses a card base and matching envelope from Paper Rose Studio, and at the end of the video I'm going to decorate the envelope as well, so stick about for that. The heroes of this card are a pair of stamps called Flowerpot Border 1 and Flowerpot Border 2. They're a matching set of stamps with very slightly different plants in each one and different pots, and I'm going to use the two today and do a little bit of cutting and moving to make it look as though we have three different stamps. First of all, I'm stamping with Memento Tuxedo black ink because I know that won't smudge, and colouring with my Copics. I'm going to show you just a tiny bit of the colouring, and a lot of that will be sped up. I'll also include a couple of still shots to show you which colours I'm using. I'm not sure whether I should be concerned, but the way that I colour this pot is exactly the same way that I colour a pumpkin. Same colours too. I've just moved from summer in Australia to winter in Japan, but I'm not suffering too badly, because I'm recording this voiceover sitting at my kotatsu. For those of you that haven't seen one before, a kotatsu looks a little bit like a coffee table, I guess, with the exception that it has a great big quilt between the table frame and the tabletop, and a heated element under the table. So basically it's like a whole body heated blanket that I get to sit under to do this recording. When I first came to Japan 3.5 years ago, I found it difficult to sit on the floor for long periods of time. But over my years here, my body's got really used to the position, and I find it really comfortable. So despite the cold temperatures outside, I am not suffering at all. The main difficulty with sitting in a kotatsu that I find is that it's really hard in the afternoons not to just slowly slide down onto the floor and nap. And here are the browns that I used for all of the pots. If you're new to colouring and wondering where to put the darker and lighter colours, here's something that I did for these leaves. I took my darkest colour and looked at where the shadows might be, areas that were further back or behind something else, and filled in my dark colour. And then I just worked out with a medium and light towards the tips. I usually colour inwards from my lightest colour back towards my other colours. I think that helps me to get a better blend. I've chosen one of my absolute favourite leaf combinations, which is YG67, YG17, and YG03 or 01, a light bright yellow-green, for a lot of these leaves. Once I've coloured each row of pots, I'm going to cut them out, and I've left in a little bit of footage of my cutting because a lot of people say that they don't enjoy fussy cutting, and so I thought I'd show a little bit of my hands. The scissors stay almost still, but my left hand that's holding the paper manipulates the paper a lot, which is how I get a cut that I'm really happy with. Okay, let's get smushing. The background for this card uses a watercolour panel, and I've chosen 4 inks that you saw on screen there that echo the colours that I used for my Copic colouring. I don't want too much busyness, and using the same colour palette throughout the card is one way to kind of hold it back. Once I've laid everything down, being moderately but not excessively careful not to touch the inks onto each other, I've given it a good spray. More water than I might usually use, but I don't want this background to be too dark, so I've tried to really water down the colours. I'm moving the paper around a little bit, just to blend the edges of the colours, but I don't want to move it too much, because green and orange will make mud. And then I dry it with my heat tool. I decided I want a little bit of spatter as well, and I've got a little bit of liquid sparkle from Paper Rose Studio there, and I'm going to mix that with some of the paint that's left on the mat to give me some lovely sparkly dots. Once I've done that and it's again dry, I'm just going to put a little bit of water in my hands and spatter that onto the paper. Wait about 10 seconds, which got cut out of the video, and then lay a piece of paper towel on top, and that will just soak up and give some white spatter as well as some darker spatter. I'm going to use these Paper Rose nesting slimline dies, and I've chosen the second largest one. The large one is exactly the same size as their card bases, and I'm cutting out the panel. The panel at this stage, because I've used so much water, is still a little bit warped. Running it through the cutting machine did help, but I'm going to use double-sided tape to hold that flat when I assemble the card. My wooden shelves come from the Eucalyptus Dance paper pack from Paper Rose, and I cut way more of this than I needed to because I wanted to get into the really nice juicy red planks in the middle of the piece of paper. The sentiment comes from the All Occasions sentiment set. This sentiment comes with a mix of black on white and white on black sentiments, but while I was in Australia, I ran it through my dodgy, cheap laminating machine with some gold foil and made some gold sentiments, which I've brought back with me to Japan. In order to line up those shelves, I've used the lines on my grid mat and a sheet of paper. You can do it even without the grid mat, because any commercially produced piece of paper has a beautiful 90-degree angle. And so, by lining it up with the side of your card, you know that anything you place across the card, like a sentiment, will always be straight. Once I finished the card, I decided I'd like to just do a little bit of something. And so I decided that I'd like to stamp one of the pot plant rows onto the inside of the card and onto the envelope. I used 2 of the inks that I use for my background smushing so that the colours will all blend nicely. And there you have it, the card and its matching envelope with a little surprise inside. I'm going to leave you with some close-up photos of the card and the envelope so that you can see the details. If you'd like to see what's coming up next, don't forget to subscribe to this channel, and also, if you like, there's a little bell that you can press that will tell you when I put up a new video. I don't have a really regular posting schedule, and so sometimes it can be a little bit hard to find my videos. That's entirely up to you. Either way, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I look forward to spending time with you again soon. Bye for now.